Sheni Parashas Pinchos early Yutes Tamas Tovshin Pei Aleph. A fellow asked me the other day that it says in the Marsha that when a person starts a mitzvah, so there's a malach that's created, and that malach helps the person to be able to succeed when the person wants to continue the mitzvah, to finish the mitzvah. The Marsha is in Masechtas Makkos. The Marsha says that's what it means. A person wants to go a certain direction, so he gets help. So the Marsha says, who helps him? So the Marsha says, because you wanted to do good, that rotzon, only the will already created a malach. And moilichim means the malach that you created by starting the mitzvah, which even to want so badly to do the mitzvah is already the start of the mitzvah. That helps you, and that's why you'll be successful with a mitzvah. So the person asks me, so why is it that a person that decides to go on a diet starts and wants and kills himself to get through the first few days, and then it just doesn't continue sometimes, or a lot of times? Isn't going on a diet a mitzvah? It's a big mitzvah. They're trying to live healthy, and it's not easy at all. So it's like it's a mitzvah with tzar, from tzar aga. So here you got the person wanting and doing and starting, and you got a big malach there that's created. Where's that malach? The malach just took a left turn by an exit and left me all by myself. How is that? The person really asked me that question. It's a good one. It's a good question. And it's an eye-opener, because it's not only a question relating to a person that's on a diet. It's any time we want to make a change in our lives, it's exactly like going on a diet. Because the same way our body gets used to certain foods and certain habits of when we eat and how much we eat, and it's very hard to leave go of those habits. And when a person decides to go against their habits, then it's tough and they're fighting it. Now, when a person has different trains of thought and habits of the way they talk, and habits of when they get up in the morning, and so on, it's the same family. And when they need to change that and decide to do things different and live differently and live off, instead of craving for some sweet things, they have to live off something else. Instead of craving to some lashon hara, they have to start enjoying asking people what's the weather. It's a diet, and a tough one. So the question is, if we would know the answer to that person, where that malach went when the person started off the diet, it might help us know how to change habits and figure out how do we get the malach to stay around a bit longer. So in order to understand this a little bit deeper, it's very important to learn the topic of habits and changing them to really get a better grip on how these things work. So, number one, a person that's trying to change a habit should know that they're going against the force of nature. It's not simple at all what you're trying to do. Don't think that, what's the problem? You know what? From tomorrow, guys, we're going to get up 5 in the morning. Okay? Who's in? We're going to get 5 in the morning. Till when? No, that's it. We're getting up 5 in the morning. You're trying to go against nature, because when a person got used to something, a person got himself into a certain way of living, it becomes teva, it becomes his nature. Hergel nasa teva, Chazal, they say. Hergel nasa, that means what you got yourself used to, even though you weren't necessarily born with that nature, it turned into your nature. Now, when someone is fighting nature, it's fighting one of the most strongest forces in the world that there is. That the world has a system. You can't just fight the system. It's not different, almost. It's not different than trying to fight gravity. Nature has a force. It's pulling a certain direction, and you want to go against that direction. So you have to be aware about that before you even start, because you have to set your mind up where you're heading to. What are you trying to do? Now, once a person it decides to start to get onto that journey of changing their habits, they're going to be feeling like they're going against the force of nature. It's going to be painful, it's going to be very, very tough, and it's not going to be pleasant at all, the journey that a person takes. And be aware about that, not only because it's caution or trying to get the person down to earth, also because there's a certain chizuk involved in knowing about it. Because the previous week we discussed, when a person has baggage, they have old aveiros that they did, then besides doing tshuva and becoming close to Hashem, we really have to take care of it. There's a pagam, there's damage done to the neshama, and we have to take care of those issues, not only because we don't want to have Yisurim in Olam Haba, not only so we should come up to that world clean and the neshama should be ready to go into Gan Eden, also because while a person's on this world, it weighs down and it gets you stuck, and it's something that interferes your success in being able to continue in ruchnius and going from step to step. So you have to be aware about it. It's very important to take care of that old stuff. Now, what usually cleans all the damage that's done to the neshama, whatever's stuck onto the neshama? Yisurim. Painful things that a person goes through, and they're makabel Yisurim ba'ahava. When a person is changing their habits, there's tsar involved. It's very painful. You should be aware that while you're doing that, you're taking care and cleaning all that out. By the time you're going to change your habit, even just a little bit, you cleaned a piece of the neshama. You also took care of that. And you're going to feel it and know it. And it's going to be good for this world and for the coming world. Be aware of it. There's a Yismach Moshe. He was the first in the dynasty of all the Rebbes of Ihil and Satmar. Yismach Moshe, he was a Talmud of the Chayzer from Lublin. So he has written down, it's printed in the Kuntres Tehillah Moshe. So he wrote down, the one he woke up in the morning, he says, Nizkalo b'chaloimi, they revealed to me in my dream, I had a understanding in Torah, if it's a malachim or whatever from heaven, they revealed to me a piece of Torah which is very important, so he wrote it down in the morning. When a person does Avera once, and then they have charata, they regret it, and they cry, they're still not finished with that Avera, even if they really want to, because they still have to fix it. They have to take care of what happened. But if a person got into a habit of doing that Avera, and did it hundreds of times, and then they regret it, and they cry, and they start a new way of living, then they don't have to do anything else, and it's already taken care of, all those Averas that they did. So the Yisrael Moshe says, and you're asking me why, how could it be that someone is better off? The answer is, because if they did Avera so many times, it means it's part of them. It means it became part of their nature. And now, just by the fact that they're undoing it and they're starting to live different, they are already going through the pain and the Yisurim which is needed to erase that Avera from the Neshama, and if that's the case, then they've already done that. So you should be aware, the Yisrael Moshe says. No, now, when we're opening up the topic of changing nature and habits and diets and all that, we have to be aware, it's going to be tough, and it's going to be painful. But you're getting paid for every single, all these feelings, and that back and forth, and the rough journey that you're going through. You have no idea what is worth it. And it's, you're undoing the whole Avera. It's exactly like if we have something that was bent out of shape, and then you need to bend it back into shape. That's what we're doing to ourselves. We're bending it back into shape. So of course it's painful because we bend it out of shape. So when you bend it back into shape, you should know what you're doing right now. You're feeling the feeling of growing. Even when teenagers grow, it's called
growing pains.
Growing pains. If it's the bones or whatever it is, it's growing pains. When a person is changing habits, it's that times 100. It's growing pains, but it's taking care of all the baggage that a person has, and then you know you're on the right track. Then you know you're going well.
It's also a chizuk that person usually tells himself, I'm so weak, what's wrong with me, why can't I change? If you at least realize you're pushing a very heavy weight.
Yes. If you're wondering why am I working on this 2 years, I don't feel I'm getting anywhere. If you're wondering why it's going so tough, what am I, crazy, or what am I such a balavera? Like, why can't I just finish with this? Because you're trying to change the nature. Are you aware about that? You're not just trying to learn for 10 minutes. You're trying to change your nature. Of course that's a tough journey, and v'siyata d'shmaya, if someone does it the right way, they will be successful. But we first have to categorize it to be able to know what to expect and to continue trucking. If you know you're going on the right highway, then you continue going, even though it's going slow. You know that you're going the right direction. Now, let's continue on. We start off with this question that a person starts a diet and they created a malach. What happened to that malach? Where did that malach go? If we understand that when a person is trying to change a habit, the way to do things, and basically it's all averos, anything, we want to, any need that we want to work out, be more patient, not to get upset, anything. It involves any change that a person all their life is supposed to be working to change things, another thing. Whenever you're trying to work on it, if you're really trying to work it for real, you're trying to change your nature. Always. Every Aveda we could be calling addictive to a certain sense. And I'll elaborate about that just because I want you to get it. What do they call addictive? They call addiction when it ruins your day-to-day life. That's what they call addiction. It means as long as you are getting up in the morning and you're still making money and you're still married, then you're not addicted. You could be doing whatever it is. You're not called addicted. Means you that's it. You have to give up the main things of life because you can't. That's what why do they call addictive the world, the professionals? Why do they draw the line there? They draw the line there for a simple reason. Because what else counts? Nothing else counts. It only counts if you're being successful in life. You're enjoying life. So as long as you're enjoying life, you're still earning money. You're still going out to work. You're still married. Okay. Now, all the rest, who cares? So that's why they draw the line of addiction when you can't enjoy life anymore. Us as Yidden, the line is just not there at all. Because as long as it's ruining our nature, our habits, that we got used to doing things, is now letting us do what we're supposed to be doing. If we'll take the most simple mashal of getting up in the morning to daven with a minyan, they're addicted. They're addicted to sleep late, and it's not letting them do the most simple thing of getting up in the morning and davening with a minyan. Now, it should be embarrassing, but be aware we're all in the same boat. Let's just understand it more accurately. We're in that boat. A person that got upset once, only once he got upset. He's an angel. But that getting upset, if it happens, I said the word once, if it happens again and again, even though it's not ruining his marriage, but it's ruining his neshama. And you know why he's not being successful to just uproot it? Because he's addicted. He's addicted to that. And that's why he's not being able to do what he's supposed to. What is that? To not get upset. So it's very deep. All of our habits and the train of the way we talk, the way we think, and all around, they're all addictions. In the real world, they're all addictions, and that's why we have to treat them the same way, understand it. It means that we're back to understanding that if you want to change it, you're going against the force of nature. It's very, very tough because that is the fact. You have to have the right category to know. You have to the right description to be able to know how do you go about it. Now, back to the malach. Back to that malach. Why, when a person starts to do a right thing, they begin to do that. Why does a malach get created? Little kids, you teach them, you do a mitzvah, boom, there's a malach that got created. What is that all about? It's the Marshal, the Orchaim Kodesh Ani Medrash. I mean, it's a true. It's not a marshal. It's not something to get you excited. It's a fact. The answer is that anytime there's creation, it means there was some type of connection between a mashpia and a makabel. Let's say a rebbe and a talmud. If a rebbe talks and explains, and his mashpia gives over. So if we talk about a rebbe and a talmud, and teaching a student, the way it would work is that you are giving over your kaveh, understanding, an idea. So what happens is there's a connection, and then all of a sudden there's something new. The rebbe understood something new. The student understood something new. Because anytime there's a connection, there's a chibur between a mashpia and a makabel, something new gets created. Something is created. When a person reaches out to Hashem, that's how any tefillah works. That's how davening works. Happens to be. When you reach out to Hashem, you're on the receiving side. So you're connecting to Hashem, which is the one that's showering abundance. And you're connecting. So besides the fact that you're connecting to Hashem, there's a connection that happened which creates shefa. That on itself creates a toilot, that something is born, like gets created, abundance happens because you are connecting to Hashem. Anytime a person starts a mitzvah, that's what he's doing. They are connecting, and something gets created. We call it a malach. You can call it abundance. You can call it a lot of names, but something happened. Now, because it got created as a result from the mitzvah, so it's always around the mitzvah, trying to make the mitzvah to be successful, trying to make it happen, to continue. That's how it works. Any person always, the smallest mitzvah, that's how it goes. But the tzaddikim explained to us that malach, whatever gets created, it depends on how strong that connection was. It depends. It could be a big malach, which is kind of, you don't want to start up with him. He's there, and he's helping you. And it could be this little malach, really, not too many people are scared of that malach. Like when the Yitzhahara wants to get you, he's not really scared of that malach. I'm saying it with this language, but that's how this form explains it. It's not just a cute marshal. That's how it is. Actually, the Reb Zisha from Anipol, Talmud from the Maggid from Mezrich, they're together in Mezrich, in the same Beis HaKorah as Beis HaChaim. The Reb Zisha and the Maggid. The Maggid is in Anipol, little village. So the Reb Zisha said that he was up in Shemayim, and he saw when a person does an Aveda, happens to be then they connect to the source of Tumah. So there's also there's a connection. There's also a malach that gets created. We say when we come on Shabbos, if we prepare the table, malach toiv. If we didn't, then there's a malach ra. So he said he saw all those malachim that got created from the Avedas. He never saw someone that was fit, that was 100% with all evorim, with all limbs, all parts of the body, because he has never found a yid do avera with the whole heart. It's always the person feels bad, and the person wished it never happened. So all those malachim are like walking around with crutches. That's what he said. That's the malachim from Avera. But back to our mitzvahs, we're trying to figure out how it works. It's extremely important to understand this. When we decide to do something and we start and we want to do it, the levels where the heart of the person is up to and how strong they mean it, how serious they are about it, is very, very important. And that is going to be the strength of that siyata d'shmaya that you will have to try to complete what you started. That's how it's going to work. Now, when a person gets very excited and they want to do something good, so if it's something that they just do, let's say they want to give tzedakah, so that's a very simple, good act, because you do it and then you did it. But a person that wants to change something in their life, So when they made that Kabbalah, they took upon themselves that from now on they're going to do A, B, C. Most of the time, the person never went through in their mind or a pen and paper, what does that include? What does that mean? What do you mean you're going to change? Do you understand what it means or what it entails? They didn't take that into consideration. Because of that, that Kabbalah wasn't really a decision to jump in the fire. It wasn't a decision to jump into the fire because they're not willing to give everything up for that Kabbalah that they made. They're not willing. They're willing to feel good now and do it once, twice, and then, I don't know. I didn't work it out in my mind. Well, if you didn't work it out in your mind, I don't have any tightness. I mean, we're not upset at that person. They did a beautiful thing. But let's not call it changing habits. Let's give it a different name because that's what it is. And it's something totally different because when a person wants to do something for a week or for 2 weeks, they're not saying it, but really that's what it is. That's when it is within the force of nature. That's something else. That's a person that did a mitzvah. That's the person that's all excited about something, and then they just went on to life. If you want to change your habits, you should go to a different school. This is not this school. This is something totally different. Most of us never work it out. We just get so upset on what we're doing till now, or we get excited because we heard a good word, so we just start. And we don't work it out what it's going to entail. And that's why the Malach has that kind of strength. It's like you told the Malach, could I just put in gas for 2 weeks? And you just swipe your car, how much gas do you want? So just, for now, till after the Chasana, we'll and then we'll see. It's like you gave 200 shekel for it. Okay, so that's that's how long it's going to last. It's because that's the strength of the Malach. Someone once asked me, you said that a person has to work something out in their mind and figure out and see if what's going to be in 2 weeks from now, what's going to be in a half a year from now. So the person said, but if a person, every time they want to change something, they're going to be thinking about it for 2 weeks, they'll never do anything. Because by the time the 2 weeks are up, they have long forgotten. They don't want anymore. Doesn't a person have to do something while they're excited about it, while they feel...
To jump in.
They have to jump in. That's a tricky answer, because it has truth to it.
And the Yitzhak also shows you it'll be impossible. If you start thinking through the whole thing,
the
means
Yitzhak shows
you'll never eat anything good, even at a chasana, even with the most delicious food. Never, ever, ever.
Never, ever, ever. So I'll tell you. If a person is going to wait 2-3 days and then they're not going to want to do it anymore, be aware. Even if you can take upon yourself, in 2-3 days you're going to be in the same situation. It means you're again going to be down, even if you take it upon yourself. So let's not kid ourselves. What do you gain by taking it upon yourself now if you're going to be cooled down in 2-3 days from now anyways? Now you gained that for 1 day you did something, but for 2 days you did that. That's also a gain. But again, we're trying to learn the school, how do we change habits? So the answer is that when a person doesn't have very, very, very deep desire to change, they're not going to change. Okay? They're not going to change. They're going to do a lot of good things. They're going to be going back and forth. Some days they're going to get up early, sometimes late. We're using that as an example. Sometimes they'll be better yid, sometimes not. And it's just going to go on and on. There is no way to change habits unless a person feels that this is not possible. I cannot, it's not possible that I should continue this kind of life. Now, I don't care what, but I'm willing to do whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. If it's the right way, I'm willing to do whatever it takes to change. And a lot of people get to that decision usually when they're deep down. That's why Shuvah Me'ahava is so powerful. Even Shuvah Me'ira is extremely powerful. Because sometimes only the Aveda is going to trigger that. it's scary, but it's the truth. If we would be maybe in a higher madrega, then something else would trigger it. But even when people get in this oil, it means people saw things that happened, and people learned things, and people were promising themselves. It doesn't do it because it doesn't trigger that understanding and that will of a person that no matter what, I'm going to pay the price. I don't care what the price is, but I want to change that habit. That's not. It's not that you only need that. That's the beginning. Of course, we need to follow certain steps because a lot of people have that feeling. Tons of people. They already been there. They felt that they're going to do anything. They'll pay the thousands of dollars. They don't care to change their habits, and they're still in it. Of course, if you feel it, it doesn't mean you already went through the path when you went through it. But you need to have that as a beginning stage, because it's like when you're trying to pull an arrow. The more you pull it towards yourself, the further it's going to fly. You have to. It has to go very deep in. When a person is just in a good mood and decides to do it, it's usually not going to happen. Now, I'm not saying it's only going to happen from Avera, but you have to figure out what's going to convince you that that's it. You have to figure it out. Because if you're not going to do that step, you're missing the first step. You're missing the first step. You must reach a understanding that I don't care. It's going to cost me, it should cost me whatever it costs me, but I know I have to do it. That's number one, that's step number one. Now, once they do that, then even if they wait a day or two before they start, a day or two or whatever, they're working on it. They're working on it, but they know, I have to take care of it. I must. They should continue telling it to themselves in their mind before they forget. This must happen. And then they should start. But they should be on top of it. That I have to figure out what this means. Now, a mentor, a person that could be a light in this area of Torah, is one of the Yigolite that was killed in Miron. Maybe some of you heard of him. The names were all in the papers. But I had a relationship with him, and I spent a lot of time with his very close friends. His name was Shagi Gestetner. They said he was a singer. Let me tell you the other part of this singer man. This Shagi Gestetner was a hero, maybe even Chad B'Dor, a hero in changing habits. Now, I can't even say everything, but this person was successful in changing habits to the end, to the peak as possible, and he went on and on and on from another Kabbalah to another Kabbalah to another Kabbalah, and he just kept it. When he decided that he's starting to learn, he didn't know how to read a line of Gemara, and he decided that he's going to learn. And when he decided if it's a half an hour a day or an hour a day, that was it. That was it. 365. Every single day. It's Friday, Shabbos, Yom Tov, working man, no matter what. And then he went to an hour a day to 2 hours a day. Before he was up to about 4 hours a day before going to work. And this was every day. Now I asked his colleagues, the one that he was working in his business, what was the secret? What was the secret? How did he keep his commitments? So he told me, well, from when he decided, he worked it out. He was like, okay, what's the next Kabbalah? What's the next thing that I'm doing? And then he like had his whole plan. How was he going to do it? And he didn't take upon himself until he went through with a calendar. He sat with a calendar. And he was, how am I going to do it on that Tuesday? How am I going to do it on Erev Yom Kippur? He sat on the calendar. I want to know how I'm going to do Erev Yom Kippur. And when he figured it out, and only then he made that Kabbalah. Now, we're about learning, he lived in Muncie. His parents, long time gesund and stark, live in Canada. But when he traveled to Montreal, when he traveled to them, he wouldn't make tickets until he didn't make sure that he has a chavrusa in Canada. There was a Magid in the yeshiva there that was willing to learn with him. Whenever that Magid had time, that he promised him he's going to learn with him, that's when the tickets were. If not, he's not going. This is if he makes a commitment, then by the commitment stage, in that stage, he went through all the tsar and the yisurim of not only then by keeping it, just then already. You say you have to jump in, but you have to jump into water. You can't just jump and just have a good time. Of course, people have to jump in, and we don't know how we're going to be successful, and we're supposed to say Hashem's going to help. Just jump in, Hashem's going to help you, of course. But you're supposed to say, as much as it's going to cost me, I don't care. I am willing to give up money. I'm willing to give up pleasure. I'm willing to give, I don't care. I don't care. I know it's going to cost me, and Afal I am going to do it. Then you create a malach. Then, when we go back to the diet story, a person decided so badly they want to change their habits. Now, if it lasted for a week, it's beautiful. 2 weeks, wow. But the person didn't work through the whole thing. The person, usually what a person says to himself is, let me try. It doesn't hurt to try. I'll try, I'll see. That's how much it's worth. The malach, when a person decides to go in, they say, in a certain sense, I'm jumping in, and I know it's going to cost me, but this is the price that I'm paying. The price that I'm paying is, a lot of times in life, we have to make that decision. So many times in life a person makes, in financial order, a person has to make the decision. He has to put down the down payment. Now, you signed in a contract that if you don't come through within 90 days, you're going to be losing that down payment. Now, if you are with 2 feet on the ground, you know that there is a certain percentage that's going to happen. Now, why are you doing it? What's the answer? Why is the person doing it? You know why the person's doing it? Because the person was trying to juggle the pros and cons, and the person said, well, it happens to be 95%, I'm going to be earning a lot of money, I'll have an apartment for myself and everything, and this is what I have right now, and I'm taking the chance. It's there at Hotline. Of course, we don't do stupid things. We don't just play, but I'm willing. If that's what it means, that I'm going to be owning my own apartment, I have to go through this stage of knowing that it's going to be you have to do it. There's no other way. You must, in order to reach that goal, you have to be willing to put down a down payment and know that that's what it is. That's what it costs. It's part of the system, how this world works. And Ruchni is the way it goes is like this. A person that wants to change a habit has to be willing to give up at something and give it up and say, Im kolzeh. Now, if you're not willing to give it up, it's not the end of the world. And this is taking us to the next step. Here is the next pitfall, what the Yetzer Hara does to us. The Ramah, the famous Ramah, which is written, commentary on the Shulchan Aruch, has a sefer written on Megillas Esther, Mechir Hayayin. And he writes by the Posuk that Haman said, Yasu eitz kavoya chamisham hama. They should prepare a tree to hang up Mordechai. It should be 50 amma tall. So the Ramah says, who's talking? Haman, the Yetzer Hara. So he says that the Yetzer Hara, when he sees that he cannot get someone with convincing him to do Aveda, so he tells someone to climb up 50 ammas high and to take upon yourself a commitment which you are not going to be able to keep, in order that you shall fall flat on your face and never do it again. That's how he gets you. Now, it's very important to understand it. We want to change, and we know how important it is. And that's it. Tomorrow we're starting. If a person takes a big commitment, then it means that, in other words, or the person is not
Uncommitted.
No, not committed. He's not. I forgot the word. He's not being. You could say rational, but there's a better word for it. He's not living with. He's not living with 2 feet on the ground.
He's not being realistic.
Realistic. It slipped my mind. Or you're not being realistic, or what's happening is that you don't understand the concept, or you're fooling yourself. Stop. Like where you go, you're not understanding what it includes. So what happens is that you don't mean to take upon yourself for always. Now what's going to happen is the Yitzhak says, okay, do 8 hours, learn 8 hours without talking, and then feel so holy like you're a malach. That's fine, as long as you're not going to sleep for the next week. Be up at night, do crazy things. That's good. That's fine. That's amazing, because you're not going to be able to keep that. So that's amazing. Or nothing. But really, what it is that when a person decides to do one step, they're not doing one step. They're changing nature. They're doing something above, beyond the koyach of teva. They're doing when they're changing one step. The reason why you're doing a small step in the right direction is because you're understanding that you're in a whole different atmosphere now. You're not in the world of let's learn a Mishnah, let's be good, let's be geschmack for one day. You're changing habits. By changing habits, we go step by step, because you know one thing. We go. You know what it's going to mean when you go 1 footstep, and then that's it. Now I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here, and that's it. I'm not moving from here. Then a person conquers ground. They conquer. He says that a person is supposed to stay there until they feel that it became their nature. It became part of their life. Then, and only then, they could go to the next step. Only then they can go to the next step. If not, you didn't understand what this is all about. You totally didn't understand what it's all about. Now, of course, the Gemara says that when a person wants to be Zach Miskaber, wants to be stronger than the Yitzhahara, if Hashem is not going to help you, you can't. The meaning is, because being stronger than the Yitzhahara, being stronger than your habits, going against your where the body is pulling you, is against nature. It's nace. It's begetted from a miracle. This is the world you are in if you're trying to change a habit. Be aware. You're conquering ground. You're having a malchama with Yitzhahara on, but it should become yours. You're not playing a game, ping pong. It's a whole different story. So if it's tough, then it's a sign you're in the right yeshiva. You're in the right place. And now Hashem is telling you, without me, no hope. And that's why addictions, in the world of addictions, they don't have a solution. They have support groups. They have how to keep you. But it's very, very scary. Because really, it's going against nature. But in the Yiddish world, Hashem knew about it and told us, I want you to know, if you're going to reach out to me, you're going to dive into me and trust in me that I'm going to help you, and you're going to do that step of what you feel, you're going to give up everything to do that little step, then I'm going to help you. Then you're going to be successful. And people do it and they're very, very successful. This Shagi Yishtetner is such an example. It's just not normal. It's not normal where he continued going on and on. He was once, he enjoyed a cup of wine as one. He knew what Gashmias is. That's why he's such a mentor to so many people. Really enjoyed Gashmias. And he was once, they went to a place and they ate a Suda and they drank. It was, and his friend tells me, I wake up 8 in the morning, he's sitting in his chair. He didn't go to bed. I said, what happened? I said, I'm not going to bed before I learn my 2 hours. He says, I fell asleep. I think I got 2 hours in total. That was 8 in the morning. I was looking at my watch. I got 7 minutes, and then I got another 15 minutes, and then he didn't get into bed. Where does a person take that strength? A person doesn't have it, but Hashem gives it to any young man. Simple young man he was. He gives to anybody that whatever you take upon yourself, that's what you do. And I don't want to give examples, but people asked him on certain things that he did. They said, "Well, you're already so hard. You're already doing who knows what, davening and learning. Why still doing something?" He said, "I'm not up to there." That's why he was so successful. He said, "I am not up to there." Now, it's very, very important to know this. We have to elaborate. If we have a person that wants to become a Baal Tshuva, and then they have on the table, they're not keeping Shabbos, they're not keeping Kashrus, and all the rest. It's going on, forget it. Tefillin, nothing. And then they want to become a Baal Tshuva. Now, where should they start? So that's a good question, where they should start. It's not, you can't say everybody should start from the same point. It depends on a lot of things. But let's say they start with something. Let's say they start with keeping Shabbos. Now here we go. So someone comes to them and says, "You just be aware, I just want to tell you that as long as you're eating what you're eating there, you're just continuing on to making Timtum Alev. It's putting onto your heart, and you're never going to be able to be close to Hashem. And you have no idea how much Sar the Shekhinah is having." I just want to tell you. I have a beautiful Archaim Kodesh to teach you here. Tells them about that. Is that true or not true? That's true. Now, so what's the story? How could we tell such a person? So, meanwhile, keep Shabbos. How can we tell them? It's a disaster. I mean, what's the answer? The answer is because what are you trying to do? Whoever is telling him that we're going to make a strong Kabbalah and that's it, we're starting to roll from right now. We're getting up in the morning with tefillin, with Shabbos, with learning. Whoever's doing that doesn't understand in which world they are. So most people tell you, "Nah, it's too hard, they're going to fall." But it's much deeper than that. It's much deeper than that, because if that's the case, you'll always have that person that's going to say, "Yeah, but I promise you I want." And then you're going to have a person that's going to say that I feel I want to do everything. You're trying to change nature. And Hashem usually doesn't give to anybody the ability to change Teva at all. Now, to try to change, to make 100 Nisim at once, you're not being realistic with anything. You're supposed to just go on the Mahalach. Now, if you're going to be ending up doing Tshuva, if you're on that way, and you're going to chew on everything, that's going to take care of the Machalas Asur. That's going to take care of everything. By Tshuva Me'ahava, it takes care of Machalas Asuras, also happens to be. Also of the Timtum Alev of Machalas Asuras. As long as you're going to be trucking, you're going to go, then you're going to be getting there. So you're on the right direction. There's a musik, Eis Lasis Lashem Efeiru Terasecha. There's such an idea. If I now, it's never mutter, we can't tell anybody to go do an Aveda, but we could tell a person, focus on one thing. Focus and focus and focus on the same exact thing again and again. You're going to a small thing and focus on it. This focusing on it makes the person be addicted to that instead of the previous thing. It's very important to understand that. You cannot do tshuva until you're not going to be addicted to something that you're trying to fix. It means whatever you're talking to the guy, he's there again. Stop talking about it. Okay, it's fine. I let you do any Kabbalah that you want, but why are you continuously talking about that topic? That's what I want. The Rambam says, Ahavad Hashem means he keeps on going back to that. Because that's called changing your train of thought. That's going to make you a better person. Small little thing, but keep on thinking about it. His partner in business, Shagi Yishnet, told me that besides learning a few hours before he went into work, in the end he came to work like 11:30. He got 5 in the morning. He came 11:30 to work, and he was very successful in business. And then 1 o'clock, whoever they were up to, no matter what, the middle of a phone call to the clients, whatever, everything stopped short, and he had to say the Mishnayos for 1 to 1:30 with his partner. Another Seder Mishnayos. Why? Because he has a Seder Mishnah, so 1 to 1:30. So his partner tells me that he asked him, cool it, calm down. Well, I promise you we're going to learn the Mishnah today, okay? You don't have to be so stubborn and learn at 1 o'clock. He said, do me a favor. I can't concentrate. I can't concentrate in business. I don't know my Mishnah yet. Do me a favor. Let's do my Mishnah. Okay. Now, how you doing? Now I can go back to work. He did it. He said it so naturally. And that is a secret. It's not a nature of a person. It's not because a person's stubborn. He wasn't like that. He wasn't like that at all. It's just he meant it so seriously. He davened so hard. He davened so hard with so many tears that he wants to change his habits. He wants to do truly. He wants to he had a Kadosh Baruch Hu, he figured out everything that says in the Swarah. If a person gets busy in their mind, what should I do? What should I do? I cannot concentrate until I don't do what I need to do. So there's an Asay Tov, then there's a Sur Mirah. There's different areas in life. Then what happens is that they keep on doing it. They do it. They get addicted. They say, I'll talk to you later. Sorry, I didn't do my duties today. I can't. It's Chalamoyim, they want to go on a trip, and the Shragi was a very fun person. He knew how to have fun. He really, very fun. I can't have fun. What should I do? I'm going to do my Gemara and my Mishnayos and my davening. Now I can have fun. It's every person like that. It's every person. They go to sleep at night. They wish, but what should I do? I can't. Lights out. It's 10 p.m. There's no one to talk to. I can't. What should I do? Because they get busy with it. Now, we'll just finish off. The Mefarshim ask, how could it be that a person is supposed to learn all day? A person's supposed to learn all day. And then we have a person can be kaveh itim, and that's just enough. Reb Shimon Bar Yochai says, if a person says Shema in the morning and at night, it's enough. So the Mefarshim talk about how could it be? Or you have to learn all day, or you have your times when you designate, I'm going to learn here, there. So the Mishnah Berurah says that someone that has to go to work, so he could just be kaveh itim and learn in the morning, at night. One of the answers is a very simple answer. If a person is really kaveh itim, in halacha it says that you have to do it no matter what. No matter what. Same time, don't give it up. Not for anything. Then a person is busy with it day and night. He's doing v'yigisa bo yoyim v'layla by doing that hour. Because he's turning around his whole day because he has to do that. Now a person has with 100 things, they're not going to be successful. I'm saying it again. I'm saying they're not going to be successful. Take one thing that you could do and now turn around everything. The guy's making a bar mitzvah and he writes the bar mitzvah as being 5 p.m. Everybody's asking, what happened? Why 5 p.m.? Make it 7:30. He can't make his bar mitzvah 7:30 because he knows he's going to finish 12:15. He can't finish 12:15. He can't afford it because he has, and everything he changes, and he thinks about those things, and he asks Hashem for siyata d'shmai to figure it out, and he keeps on changing things around. And not only people take certain flights because they're davening with the Kriyas HaTorah. There are ways to do things. There are ways, whatever you, and until it becomes herigel, and then you go to the next step. You have no idea. It's a beautiful life. Shagi used to come into the office before Rosh Hashanah a few weeks. Okay, next. He's so excited. What are we doing next? He discussed it with the partners. What are we doing next? Because he was so successful. When someone's successful, they want to go weiter. They just want to continue it. Why was he successful? Because when he took upon himself, he knew what it's going to take. And he cried his heart out to Hashem. He should be successful. He didn't take things that he felt he's not up to. He finished. But he knew, whatever I'm doing, that's it. This, I'm doing. You should have a list of Gan Eden.
In the Sefer Tnuas HaMusar, they bring down when Yisrael Salanter, at one point he was in France in his life.
Mm-hmm.
And they would come to Shul Shabbos morning, then they would go to their business. So they would come over to one and they'd say, tell me, when you go to your store, do you carry the key to the store? I said, yeah. I said, couldn't you hide the key by the door so you wouldn't have to carry it? And the guy laughed at him. He says, I don't keep Shabbos. I know, he says, but the key you could do, right? And he would do that after a while. Then he would come over to me and say, tell me, do you write down in the store things? Do you really have to? Couldn't you write down Motzei Shabbos? And he convinced the guy that. Eventually the guy would be Shabbos.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Mark.